Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Week 13 episode of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 bets marches on, and add another losing week to the tally, baby. Another losing one. At this point, I'm kind of rooting for to have the worst season possible to see just how bad it can get. And for you listeners of this show, if you've done the smart thing, which you should have by now, if the first 8 weeks weren't any additional clue, let me just say it out here loud. Fade me is what you should be doing. You should be taking my picks and going the opposite. Actually, if you did that this week, you would have been down the same amount of money, because I went, well, if the 49ers end up covering in this game, I'll be 7-7 for a small loss, which is losing for everyone. 7-7 if you tailed, 7-7 if you faded. I'm watching this Monday Night Football game right now between the 49ers and the Panthers. Just finished the first quarter. I got the 49ers minus 6.5. I got a good price on them last week, so hopefully that can win and I can finish 7-7, so I don't take too much of a step back. But more importantly, I need 49ers to win for my big money survivor pool that I'm in. More survivor pool talk at the end of the show, but for the road to 272 survivor pool, if the 49ers win tonight, there will be 0 eliminations this week, which I think I called last week, because very easy week for Survivor. A lot of different options, a lot of big favorites. Anyone who took the Lions sweat, but it still came through regardless. So but more Survivor talk at the end of the show. Happy Thanksgiving to my American friends, listeners, viewers. This is my first Thanksgiving. This is my first American Thanksgiving back in Canada since I moved back. If you didn't know, Thanksgiving for us, we have Thanksgiving, but it's in October, which I always thought made more sense, and I still believe that. I think late November Thanksgiving does kind of run into Christmas a little bit, but I will say the positive about that is you do have a very natural transition in the States from kind of the fall and into Christmas. I feel like as soon as Thanksgiving is over in the States, it's like, okay, now it's Christmas. Whereas in Canada, we don't have that natural transition moment. I guess some could say it's just immediately after Halloween. Some could say, I go by, it's after Remembrance Day, which is what, Veterans Day for you guys, November 11th. I think November 12th is kind of when Christmas starts, but that feels a little too early. Even like we have our Christmas decorations up here, you can tell by my background, it still feels a little early to kind of fully get in the Christmas spirit. But when I lived in the States, when I lived in New York, it was great. The moment Thanksgiving was over, we're all in on Christmas. I do want to say one thing for Thanksgiving coverage, for the content people out there. Can we stop debating and ranking Thanksgiving food? God, it's such a tired topic. The internet has now been around for 20 years, and every year it's like, oh, the groundbreaking segment on the show this week is, let's do a draft of your favorite Thanksgiving sides. Ooh, like, I don't give a shit that you would take mashed potatoes 1-1. I don't care that you think turkey is the worst part of the Thanksgiving meal and that turkey's overrated. I don't care that you love stuffing. You're just I would wish I could eat a whole plate of just stuffing. It's enough. We hear it every year. The people on like the big networks, they all have a good laugh. They think it's hilarious and unique that they're going to debate their big Thanksgiving food. Their traditions and which ones they like. And, we eat at 4 o'clock. We eat at 6 o'clock. 4 o'clock so early. Yeah, but you got to have time for a second helping a little bit later. Enough. The internet's been around long enough. We've talked Thanksgiving food too much the past 20 years. I don't need to hear the same bits over and over. It's Thanksgiving. It's good food. Who cares? I don't care which side you like the most. Sit down, eat it, watch football, bet football, have a good time, then let's get ready for Christmas. I don't think that's asking a lot. It's enough. And come Christmas time, you know what I don't want to hear about this Christmas? What your favorite Christmas movie is. If I see one person debate whether or not Die Hard is a fucking Christmas movie, I'm going to lose my mind. We've had this debate for 20 years. It comes up every year. We don't need to talk about it anymore. All right? That's my request for this holiday season. But we do have to talk about Thanksgiving football. 3 games, obviously, on Thursday, and it might be the best slate of NFL games in terms of meaningful games on a Thanksgiving. Usually at least one of the games is just an absolute stinker. I mean, for almost my entire life, up until 4 years ago, the Lions played every Christmas, and they sucked throughout, almost every year of my life up until 4 years ago, so that was always a stinker game. But now it's meaningful. We got Lions, Packers, and a race for the NFC North. You got Cowboys, Chiefs. Cowboys, can they make a run at the playoffs? Chiefs. Can they avoid what would be a devastating loss? And then Ravens, Bengals still a little. I mean, Bengals are out of it, but Ravens can't afford to lose. So fascinating 3-game slate. I'm going to give out my best bet for all of those. As I said, at this point of the season, you just have to chalk this up as been a bad season. Go ahead and fade me. Take the opposite side. I'll give you my bet for the rest of the NFL Week 13 slate, and we'll talk Survivor and get out of here. I do actually have a Thanksgiving parlay. Let me give the Thanksgiving parlay out now, and then we'll get into my picks. I'm going to do a few Thanksgiving parlays. I'll tweet out actually Thanksgiving morning. But here's one. Packers money line in the first game. My actual best bet for that game is on the total. So for a side, I'll go Packers money line. I think it's going to be close to a coin flip game. Packers already beat the Lions once this season. Why not do it again? Patrick Mahomes, 300-plus yards, passing yards. And then Isaiah likely to score for Ravens, Bengals. Bengals give up the most touchdowns to opposing tight ends. So 3-leg parlay, 1 leg for each game. Isaiah likely. That works out to right around 18-1. I'm looking at FanDuel at $17.95 plus $17.95. Packers, Mahomes 300, Isaiah likely. That's my Thanksgiving parlay. 3-leg parlay. I'll probably do a bigger parlay as well. Thanksgiving is when I love parlays. It's 3 games. It's a nice amount. You could do 3-leg parlay. You could do 6, a side or a prop for each game. You get crazy. I think I like to do a first touchdown parlay every year. I love parlays on Thanksgiving. So, but no other parlays on this show. I will break down my best bets for all 16 games. We have a full slate. No teams are on bye. Week 14, I think, wraps up the buys. Yeah, there's no way there's any in week 15. So week 14 wraps up the buys, but none Thanksgiving week. So we got all 16 games to talk about. So let's get into it. It is time for the week 13 edition of the Road to 272 bets. The Road to 272, unfortunately, marches on. All right, it'd be nice if Brock Purdy stopped throwing interceptions. 2 interceptions already. This is the recipe for a team who's favored by a lot to lose, is they continue to turn the ball over. But we'll see. All right, let's get into my picks for Thanksgiving, starting with the Packers and the Lions. I told you I'm going to bet the under in this game, or I said a total bet, but I am going to bet the under 49.5. I got that between the Packers and the Lions. A little bit of a surprise to see the total this high in this game. Usually these high totals are reserved for games between 2 great offenses and 2 not so great defenses, but both defenses for these game in this game for these teams just as good, if not better, than the offenses. Maybe not better, but I'd make the argument just as good. Lions defense 6th in DVOA, Packers defense 9th in DVOA, so 2 top 10 defenses by almost every metric. Packers have allowed the 2nd fewest yards per play at 4.6. The Lions have allowed the 9th fewest yards per play at 5.1. Green Bay also the 5th best scoring defense. Have only allowed 18.4 points per game. So I get the offenses are good, especially the Lions can really run the football. Packers, when Jordan Love is on, very, very good offense. But you don't typically see a total this high when the defenses are like really good, like top 10 defenses. So that's a little bit surprising to me. I would have to think a short week, afternoon game on a short week, so as short of a week as you can possibly have for the most part. That might cause the offenses to come out of the gate stumbling a little bit. So I'm going to trust the defenses in this one. I know the Lions defense kind of got tore up by the Giants last week, but I'm not going to look too much into that for the most part. I will take the under in this one. I think it's a couple points too high. Let's get the week started off with the under 49.5 between the Packers and the Lions. The Chiefs and the Cowboys, I went back and forth on this one. I had to figure out what side of this Cowboys argument am I going to be on? What side of history am I going to be on? Am I going to believe in the Cowboys? I invest in on them, see if they can go on a run, see if they can at least scare the Eagles a little bit in the NFC East. Is that the guy I'm going to be? Or am I going to be the guy saying, let's not overlook the past two games for the Cowboys. They're still not that good of a team. Give me the Chiefs. And that's the side I ended up falling on. So that tells me great news for Cowboys fans. I'm on the Chiefs -3, -115. That tells me the Cowboys are going to go on a run. Because I just can't get anything right this year. Chiefs, I think I talked about this last week. The Chiefs are a fascinating case where last year their record was extremely good. Their metrics weren't that good. This year their metrics are really good. The record's not that good. And even last week they did beat the Colts. They needed a comeback. They won in overtime, but they did not cover the spread. Spread was 3.5. They won by 3. Still, though, 5th in overall DVOA, 11th in net yards per play, both significantly better than where they ranked last season. And I know the Cowboys' defense got a little bit better with the acquisitions at the trade deadline, but still their secondary is bad. 27th in opponent dropback success rate, 26th in opponent dropback EPA. I just don't know if their last 2 wins, one was against the Raiders, who I'm going to make the argument later, are the worst team in the NFL, and an Eagles team who's had a ton of issues on offense lately. I don't know if now that automatically makes them a really good team. Like, I know we all kind of have short memories because you only got 1 game a week, but like last week was the Eagles win. The week before that was the Raiders win. The week before that was their bye. The week before that, they got steamrolled by the Arizona Cardinals. So I think this is a trap a lot of people fall for in the NFL. Is a couple of good games, we start to think they're better than they are. A couple of bad teams, we start to think teams are worse than they are, completely discrediting the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season. At the end of the day, the Cowboys secondary bad, 27th in opponent dropback success rate, 26th in opponent dropback EPA, second most yards per pass attempt, giving up 7.3 yards per pass attempt. That should set up for a big game from Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes, say what you will about him, but I've actually looked through the defenses the Chiefs have had to play this season. Actually, they're not all great defenses, but no bad defenses. The only bad defense they faced all season was the Commanders' defense, and in that game, they won 28-7. Patrick Mahomes threw for 299 yards. Like, let's just quickly rip through the teams that they've played. Not saying they're all great. Chargers, week 1, certainly good defense. Eagles, great defense. Giants, run defense bad. Pass defense actually has been pretty good. Ravens defense, okay. Jaguars defense, okay. Lions defense, good. Raiders defense, average. Even below average, maybe. Commanders defense, bad. That's the worst defense they face. And then Bills defense, yeah, not great. Broncos defense, very good. Colts defense, solid. Like, they have not played any, like, really bad defensive teams. They haven't played the Bengals. They haven't played the Titans, which they do here in a couple of weeks. So I think their offense, now that they're going to play a really bad defense here in the Cowboys, I think the Chiefs' offense is going to snap. So I'm going to take the Chiefs -3, -115. Thursday night football, technically, so football that's taking place on Thursday night. Technically, Thursday night football is Friday night football this week. Bengals +7.5, -120 against the Ravens. I took the Jets last week to cover. They did cover that big number. That was kind of seems like the play last week was just to take every underdog to cover or every favorite to win outright. Kind of crazy how that worked out. It felt like almost every single game the favorite won but didn't cover. The Ravens, why I bring that up is because I bet against the Ravens because they're just not as good, I don't think, or their 5-game win streak now isn't as impressive as it sounds. Those 5 wins came against the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, Browns, and Jets. They didn't cover against the Browns or the Jets. That's not good. They should be steamrolling these teams. And also in the Dolphins, it ended up being a pretty significant victory for the Ravens by the end of it. But if you remember the first half, a lot closer than the score indicated. The Dolphins moved the ball at will, just couldn't quite get in the end zone. They get in the end zone a couple times in the first half. That's a completely different game. But what's even more important than the Ravens as a whole is Lamar Jackson has not been himself. He hasn't had a completion percentage better than 58.6% in his last 3 starts. He hasn't reached 200 yards in the air in those 3 starts. And he has combined for just 71 rushing yards. Combined for just 71 rushing yards in his last 4 games. That's in his stretch since coming back from injury. Now, he has said in a post-game press conference after this past week that the injury is not still bothering him. I call bullshit on that. If Lamar Jackson was not hurt, he would be running for a lot more than 71 yards across a 4-game stretch. Meanwhile, you have the Bengals. We still got to wait to see if Joe Burrow is coming back. The reports and the 49ers just fumbled again. Oh, did they jump on it? They jumped on it. That was almost a 3rd turnover in 4 drives for the 49ers. Crazy. Lost my train of thought. Joe Burrow. Some people say he's expected to come back. I don't think we're going to see Joe Burrow back this season. That's my prediction. But who would you want? Joe Flacco, who's played for this Bengals team now for a number of weeks in a row, or hurt Joe Burrow making his first start after an injury? I don't think Joe Burrow is going to be very fresh or effective if he does come back. So I'm fine with either quarterback. Jamar Chase will be back. That'll be significant. This is mostly a fade of the Ravens offense and a fade of the Ravens as a whole, who I don't think are as good as the recent record indicates. So with it being over that magic number of 7, I will take the 7.5 points minus 120 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Black Friday. You know what's killed me this year? Is there are teams I'm convinced aren't good, and every number that I can produce shows that they're not good, but they continue to win and cover spreads every single week, and I continue to bet against them. Usually there's one team every year that does that to me. Last year, I think it was the Vikings. I think I bet against the Vikings a lot last year. I bet against the Chiefs a lot last year. This year, it's multiple teams. This year, it's like another interception. Third interception Brock Purdy just threw. The 49ers are going to blow this game because of turnovers. It's one of those nights. That's such a disaster. This year, there's been several teams I keep saying are going to lose, and they continue to win. One of them is the Panthers, who I'm watching right now. One is the Broncos. One is the Jaguars, and probably most notably of all of them is the Chicago Bears, who I have Bears fans mad at me online for saying that their team stinks. But I can't look past 20th in net yards per play, 22nd in DVOA, 25th in opponent success rate. Not good. I'm going to go down with saying the Bears are a fraudulent team. I'm going to go down with that shit. Take on the Eagles on Friday, Black Friday. An Eagles offense that I know that it has struggled of late, but now they get to bounce back because the Bears defense is bad. They struggle to stop the run. They struggle to stop the pass. If there's a team the Eagles offense can hit their stride against, I think it's the Bears defense. Let's also be honest about the Eagles defense has been one of the best, if not the best defense in recent weeks. I think they're going to be able to put Caleb Williams in a blender. Caleb Williams, who now ranks 27th amongst NFL starting quarterbacks and expected points added plus completion percentage over expected, EPA plus CPOE. That's one spot below Michael Penix, one spot above Bryce Young. I just don't think it is sustainable for this Bears team to continue to win games when they're in the bottom half of the NFL in almost every metric and their quarterback is in the bottom 10 in almost every quarterback metric. I just don't know how that's possible. Statistically, mathematically. Now I'm all of a sudden more invested in this 49ers game. I'm going to try not to get another first down. Fuck's sakes, we're going to lose in Survivor tonight. All right, so Eagles -7 against the Bears on Black Friday. I will continue to fade the Bears. I will go down with that ship because I know the moment I start betting on the Bears is when they start losing. So I just have to go down with that ship. Or is when they start losing. Moving on to Sunday's slate, we got an AFC South matchup between the Colts and the Texans. I will take the Texans plus 4.5 minus 110. I was on the Texans last week on Thursday Night Football against the Bills. Wish I would have taken money line. I had considered it. I didn't in this spot, though. Not really considering money line. I think the Colts can pull it out. I will take the 4.5 points with the Texans on the road here, though. The play of Daniel Jones has been a little bit concerning of late, and they can only do so much by running the football. Daniel Jones, through the first 5 weeks of the NFL, was 4th in EPA plus CPOE, only 11th in that metric since week 6. Not a huge drop-off, but notable. Because obviously the majority of their offense revolves around throwing or running the football, but they're going to have to throw the football to beat really good teams, to beat really good defenses. And I'm just having nightmares. I would have nightmares if I was a Colts fan or better, thinking about how Daniel Jones is going to play against this Texans defense. Texans defense, which I think is the best in the NFL. 2nd in opponent EPA per play, 3rd in opponent success rate, 3rd in opponent yards per play, 2nd in defensive DVOA. They have a chance to just wreak havoc against Daniel Jones. CJ Stroud expected to start this week, not confirmed, but if he does, he'll get to face a regressing Colts defense that has not been as good as they were early in the season. So I think it's going to be a close one. In the AFC South, I'll take the Texans plus 4.5. I'm going to back a lot of underdogs this week. I'm sick of the favorites. The tides have turned. It's the time of underdogs. The age of favorites is over. The time of underdogs has begun. Browns plus 6.5 against the 49ers minus 108. Of course, this line could change depending on how tonight goes, depending on any potential injuries from the 49ers. But regardless, I will take the points with the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders for the Browns. Not a great performance, but certainly not as bad as a lot of people thought. I saw parlays out there fading Shedeur Sanders every single way. I saw big bets, massive bets on the under in his passing yards. He threw for over 200 yards. For his first ever career start, I'm not going to say it was a great start. I'm not going to say we're all wrong about him. But I'm not going to all of a sudden just fade the Browns just because it's Shedeur Sanders, like a lot of people did last week. Thankfully, I took the under, which did manage to hit. But I will take the Browns in this spot. Because they're a different monster when they're at home. And they're at home this week, getting 6.5 points. And if you're going to give me the Browns defense on their home field, getting 6.5 points, especially with their defense taking on Brock Purdy, who we're seeing how this is going tonight, not good. Thankfully, the 49ers defense holding the Panthers to a field goal attempt here. Should be a chip shot for him. Up and through. Yeah, so 7-3. 7-3 after 3 turnovers. You're lucky. So I'm going to trust the Browns defense right now on their home field. Net yards per play. I thought I had it written here. Nope. Maybe I don't. I can bring it up here. Net yards per play. The Cleveland Browns, their net yards per play, minus 0.8 on the road, minus 0.1 at home. So a difference of 0.7 yards. Doesn't seem significant, but it is. Cleveland's defense has also been a lot better at home. Third in opponent EPA, second opponent success rate, third in defensive DVOA. Give me the 6.5 points at home against a 49ers team who, especially if they win tonight, I think it might be a little bit of a sell high spot on. Brock Purdy's got to stop throwing interceptions immediately. All right, Cardinals and Buccaneers. I'm declaring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a broken football team. They're not good. And maybe the NFC South is all of a sudden open for the Falcons? 50-1? Kirk Cousins? More on him a little bit later. But over each team's last 3 games, the Buccaneers ranked dead last in net yards per play, minus 2.5, the worst mark in the NFL by half a yard. Their EPA and success rate numbers have dropped to the bottom half of the NFL. Baker Mayfield's now nursing an injury, not confirmed if he can go this weekend. Even if he does, we've seen an injured Baker Mayfield play. It's not pretty. He kind of needs to be at full health to have his full Baker Mayfield superpowers. Now, it's kind of tough for me to make an argument on the Cardinals because the Cardinals aren't a really good team by any stretch, but I think Jacoby Brissett has played well enough that he should be able to take advantage of a bad Buccaneers secondary. So I just have no interest on laying 3.5 points on a Buccaneers team that's trending to hell, that is one of the most injured teams in the NFL, that might not have a quarterback. It might be Teddy Two Gloves playing. So with that in mind, I'll take the Cardinals plus 3.5, minus 108 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's keep rolling with the underdogs. I will take the New Orleans Saints getting 3.5 points against the Miami Dolphins. Once again, short memory. We're in a short memory portion of the NFL season where people only think of the last 1, 2, 3 weeks max. Anything that happened before 3 weeks ago, it's like as if it never happened in a lot of football fans' minds, which is crazy because you don't see that in other sports. In other sports, 4 games ago doesn't seem like that long ago, but the NFL it does. Because the Dolphins had a bye week this past week. They had a decent win against the Commanders in Spain, and they had a big win against the Bills, divisional opponent. But let's not forget how bad this Dolphins team was before that. I think it was the Ravens the week before that where they had a solid first half in terms of moving the football down the field, but then could not. They looked terrible in the second half. Mike McDaniel with depressing post-game press conferences where he didn't actually seem okay. He'd ramble and mumble about nothing. We're all making fun of Tua. Now a bye week and a couple of good wins since then, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, this Dolphins team not bad. No, come on, guys. 24th in overall DVOA. Not good. And also, their biggest strength is running the football. 37.5% of their offensive yards gained come from running the football. That's the 8th highest mark in the league. Now they take on a Saints defense who allows just 4 yards per carry, 6th in opponent rush EPA, 11th in opponent rush success rate. So the Dolphins' biggest strength is running the football. That goes up against the Saints' biggest strength, which is stopping the football. I'm not going to say the Dolphins shouldn't be favored, but 6 points is a crazy spread. That's a crazy amount of points to lay in a bad team. So I'll take the 6 points with the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. Another one involving a Monday Night Football game team from the Monday Night Football game is the Panthers. They're at home to the Rams. The Rams, I'm declaring, the best team in football. That's not a hot take. I feel like everyone would have that take at this point. But they are first in offensive DVOA, first in defensive DVOA, fifth in net yards per play. I'm still a Seahawks believer. Seahawks took them to the brink, even with some turnovers. But you can't look past how well the Rams defense has played lately. Matt Stafford has been unbelievable. He's a pretty significant favorite now to win NFL MVP. Now they play a Panthers team who I think is the most fraudulent and overrated team in the NFL. They're going to end up covering tonight because Brock Purdy can't throw past to his own team. But they're not covering 10 points against the Rams. The Rams are going to steamroll. Imagine, close your eyes and think about the Rams defense right now going up against Bryce Young. Oh, man. Bryce Young's going to have some problems next week. He's going to have some real problems. Real problems. Rams minus 10. I don't have much more to say than that, other than I think this is like the best team in the NFL against a bottom 5 team in the NFL. And a best team by a wide margin. By a margin. And then Seahawks, and then a margin, and then the rest of the NFL. That's how I power rank them right now. Rams minus 10, minus 105. The Falcons against the Jets. The Falcons might be back, baby. All it took was a win against the Saints, and we're back. Seriously, though, if you look at the NFC South, if the Panthers keep losing, if the Buccaneers can't get back on track, the Falcons need to upset at least the Seahawks or the Rams, probably both of them, and then they have to beat the Cardinals. I think it's the Cardinals, it's the Jets this week, it's the Saints one more time, it's the Buccaneers one more time. So, I don't know. Kirk Cousins didn't look that bad against the Saints. It was the Saints, I get it, but he didn't look that bad. I'm going to take the Falcons to win and cover against the Jets. I think the bottom tier of NFL teams this year is worse than most years. I think it's why there's so many survivor entries left. I think it's why, especially at the start of the season, favorites covered. Even now, underdogs are covering, but favorites are winning. I think in that bottom tier is the Jets, the Raiders, the Titans, probably a couple other teams. Saints probably belong in that. The Falcons don't. So it's a little insulting to me as a Falcons fan that they're only 2.5-point favorites against a really bottom tier team. I know the Falcons have had some things not go their way this season. I'm not defending it. I'm not making excuses. But when you look at the metrics, they're not bad. 19th in total DVOA, 12th in net yards per play. Those aren't numbers of a bottom tier team. Those aren't numbers of a Jets. So we'll see if Drake London comes back this week. I have a feeling Drake London's not back this week, but Kirk Cousins looked okay even without Drake London. The Falcons defense still pretty good. That pass rush, that's a nasty pass rush, man. You're going to hear a lot of people about, like, complaining about the Falcons giving up their first round pick. They got the pass rush. Goal accomplished. Now they need to figure out some other pieces. They probably do have to fire their coach, their offensive coordinator. They need Michael Penix to improve next season. Oh my God, Purdy almost threw another pick. It's not good. Not good. But I think the Falcons are on a different level than the Jets. I know the Falcons is kind of like fade them when they're favorites, bet it on them when they're underdogs. Have, lined up again last week. Trend's not sustainable. I think they win and cover this week. I got faith. Jaguars Titans. Boop 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 boop. Underdog of the week. Titans to upset the Jaguars. I'm back on my Titans bullshit for the first time in a long time. Titans plus 295 to upset the Jaguars. Just like the Bears, I'm going down with the ship of calling the fraudulent teams frauds. That includes the Bears. That includes the Jaguars even more. Now, the Jaguars' overall numbers, not bad. They're kind of the definition of average. 15th in offensive DVOA, 20th in defensive DVOA, 16th in net yards per play. Secondary has not been good. Cam Ward could have a half-decent game. But Trevor Lawrence's poor play is eventually going to cost him a game. It should have cost him last week against the Cardinals. He threw 4 picks. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, and you can't consistently win, even against bad teams, if your quarterback sucks. 32nd in the NFL in EPA plus CPOE. That's one spot below Joe Flacco, one spot above Justin Fields. He threw 4 interceptions last week against the Cardinals. It's a disaster. His play is going to come back to haunt the Jaguars at some point, and I'm going to take a shot on the Titans at almost 3-1 odds to pull off the upset. It is what it is. Plus 295. Let's get the Titans another win. I kind of liked what I saw from them against the Seahawks. That's not nothing to score that many points against a very, very, very good Seahawks team. What I would say right now is the second best team in the NFL. Maybe they carry that into this week. They at least have some fight. They're at home. This is a road divisional game for the Jaguars. That's a dangerous spot for any team. Give me the Titans on the money line plus 295. This is a fast NFL game. It's almost halftime. We're only an hour in. There's 1 minute left in the first half, an hour into the game. Is this the fastest first half of all time? Are people on Twitter talking about this? Am I going crazy? No, I'm apparently going crazy. No one on Twitter is talking about it. All right. So Titans, upset pick of the week. Vikings, Seahawks. I'm torn on this one, so I ended up going under. I've been betting on the Seahawks almost nonstop, but Sam Darnold has struggled a little bit at times with some interceptions, and he gets struggled when he gets pressured, and he gets struggled when he gets pressured up the middle even more. And he seems like a quarterback who, if he's taken on a coach who knows how to game plan against him, he's going to run into some issues. And no one's going to know Sam Darnold better and know how to expose his weaknesses better than Kevin O'Connell. Now, with that being said, should I now bet on the Vikings? Absolutely fucking not. Let me get rid of my little banner here and bring up a little picture to show you guys. You guys remember how last week I showed where J.J. McCarthy ranked amongst quarterbacks so far this year? Let me share my screen here. I did this, and you might have seen me tweet this. I then went a step further, and I compared J.J. McCarthy's efficiency dating back the last 10 NFL seasons, so from 2016 to 2025. A lot of quarterbacks on this list, so you might be squinting trying to look, geez, where's J.J. McCarthy? There's so many names, I can't pick this out. Oh, well, don't worry. Just look in the bottom left-hand corner of this bracket, of this graph. Oh, you see, even on Twitter, just in case anyone missed it, I put a little red arrow there. J.J. McCarthy is in the bottom 5 of most efficient quarterbacks in the past decade. His name, the couple names he's above, to be fair, he's above Nate Peterman, Josh Rosen, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Those are the 3 guys he's better than. He's right next to P.J. Walker, who I barely even remember. There's a guy over here named B. Petty. I don't even know who that is. Who's B. Petty? And it's those 6 guys are in a league below everyone else. J.J. McCarthy is the worst quarterback we have seen since Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I would also like to, if I may, read a tweet that I bookmarked. I think it was after week 1, when he had that one good quarter of football, and they had to come back. First, let me stop sharing my screen here. I bookmarked a few Vikings fans' tweets, but this one is the one that stuck out. Andrew Cooper at Coop A Fiasco, he says, J.J. McCarthy taking over a good Vikings team after Sam Darnold feels eerily similar to Patrick Mahomes taking over a good Chiefs team after Alex Smith. Dave Kluge then said J.J. is the next Mahomes. Love is the next Favre Rodgers. The Lions have the coolest coach in the NFL, and the Bears. Let me just reread that first sentence. J.J. is the next Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the greatest and most winningest quarterback of our generation. He was calling J.J. McCarthy Patrick Mahomes, not, name another quarterback who's been okay, He's not calling him Trevor Lawrence. He's not calling him even Justin Herbert, which would still be crazy. He's not calling him Jordan Love. He's not calling him Jared Goff. J.J. is the next Mahomes, he said, after one good quarter against the Bears in his first ever start. One good quarter. Not one good game, one good quarter against the Bears in his first ever start. I've brought this up several times. but it holds true. The delusion that Vikings fans have had about JJ McCarthy is one of the craziest things I've ever seen since I started following the sport. I have not seen any Vikings fans come out and admit they are wrong. I've received no apologies from Vikings fans who were in my DMs at the start of the season. Do they just pretend that they didn't say any of those things at this point? Is that kind of the next step? It's embarrassing. I get being like, hey, this is our rookie, this is our guy, let's hope for the best, hopefully he develops into a guy, but the arrogance they had, once again, unbelievable. So long story short, no, I'm not going to be back in the Vikings, even though I think Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to shut down Sam Darnold. So if I'm going to fade both quarterbacks, I will take the under. So that's where I'm at in that game. Under 42 between the Vikings and Seahawks. Moving on to the Raiders and the Chargers. I will take the Chargers minus 9.5 against the Raiders. The Raiders, I think, I'm declaring the worst team in the NFL. I know they have wins against the Patriots. One of my favorite things to do actually late in the season, I'll probably do this in a few weeks, probably right before Christmas, is I like to look back at some of the most baffling betting lines from the opening couple of weeks and even the betting results. The craziest one for this year that might take the cake is going to be the Patriots were only 3-point favorites against the Raiders, I think it was, and the Raiders won outright. If the Patriots and Raiders played again, the Patriots would be 10.5-point favorites if it was in New England. Probably a little less than 10 if it was in Las Vegas. Maybe like 7.5 in Las Vegas, 9.5 in New England. Crazy. And they won that game. It's one of their first only 2 wins. But I think they are now heading into this week the worst team in the NFL. 31st in DVOA, 27th in net yards per play, and they just have no fight. At least the Titans have fight, which is worth something. The Raiders don't come back and get a backdoor cover against the Seahawks, if that was the Raiders last week. The Titans have fight, which you usually see when a bad team is also young. You usually see that those teams have more fight. When it's the Raiders where they're bad, but mostly full of veterans, they're done. Because they're like, why fight at this point? We're not trying to get any better. We are who we are, and we suck. So why try? Chargers should feel a little fresh coming off their bye, hopefully. I don't think I've been right about a Chargers bet all season. I think I'm on the wrong side. I think when I'm on them, they don't cover. When I'm against them, they cover with ease. So I don't really know what to think. Oh, it would have been nice that swing pass was McCaffrey. I put my biggest bet in this game is McCaffrey to go over his receiving yards total. So if you get a few more receiving yards before half, that'd be nice. So I think the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. I think the Chargers should be 10-point favorites. There's 9.5 still available. I'll lay the 9.5 on the Chargers. Bills against Steelers. This Bills team tricky to pick, man. They're tricky. Because there's so much all offense, no defense. If you bet on them and their offense doesn't have an A game, they're not going to cover. But if you bet against them and their defense plays okay, they're going to cover. And their offense has had bad games. Their defense has had good games. So it's like, what version of the Bills ends up showing up? That's why I think I might just have to bet totals in Bills games for the rest of the season. I'll take the over 47.5 between the Bills and Steelers. Throw it to McCaffrey. Nope. Wrong side of the field. So I'll take the over. Bills offense remains an elite unit, one of the few elite offenses in the NFL. Their defense stinks. 6th in offensive DVOA, 21st in defensive DVOA. The Steelers, I can't really say anything about the Steelers because they're like literally like 14th, 15th, or 16th and everything. So they're just average everywhere. They don't do anything well. They don't do anything bad. They're just as average on offense as they are in defense. So they're just kind of like what I call like the Mario of the NFL. You know, like when you pick Mario in like a Mario multiplayer game, like he has just like all like average statistics. Like in Smash Bros, he's just like average at everything. Mario Kart, like he's not lightweight, he's not heavyweight, he's like medium weight, medium speed, medium acceleration. The Steelers are the Mario of the NFL, where they're just average at everything, so I don't really know how to handicap their games. If the Steelers were a character on Mario Kart, I'd never pick them. For this game, I'll take the over, I guess. I don't know. When in doubt, take the over. I'll bank on the Bills having a good offense, bad defense. And that's all I have to really say about that one, to be honest. 2 more games. Sunday Night Football. We got the Commanders plus 6.5 against the Broncos. I will take the 6.5. I'm taking a lot of points with a lot of underdogs this week. So this means this is the week the favorites bounce back. Last play of the half. Just dump it to McCaffrey. Is he even out there? Yeah, dump it. Oh, he did dump it. Now go. Go. That meant nothing for the game. That meant huge for my receiving yards total. That got him up to 40. I need one more catch and run from McCaffrey. I think I have 43.5. The entire second half, I need one positive gain through the air from McCaffrey. That can be done. We can do that, right? Commanders plus 6.5 against the Broncos on Sunday night. The Broncos are another team like the Browns who are significantly better on their home field. Plus 1.2 net yards per play at home, plus 0.5 on the road. And they put up some stinkers on the road here. Let me bring up some Broncos past games. And I want to say they're like the better opponents they face have been at home too. Scored 13 points against the Jets on the road back on October 12th. 18 points against the Texans. Oh, Texans have good defense. The Raiders-Broncos game was at home. I thought that was in Las Vegas. Oh, so that kind of kills that narrative. Regardless, I'm fading the Broncos offense. I don't feel like laying 6.5 points on the Broncos offense, especially taking on the Commanders team off a bye. Even if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, Marcus Mariota has quietly actually played pretty well. 13th in the NFL in EPA per play is the Commanders offense. 6th in success rate. Marcus Mariota, I thought I had it in my notes here. Did I not put it in my notes? Oh, yeah. Marcus Mariota, 13th among starting quarterbacks in EPA plus EPOE. And there's like 40 qualifying quarterbacks. So he's been an above-average quarterback this season. That's one spot below Jared Goff. Not bad. Not bad. Obviously, tough defense he has to face in this game, but I don't want to lay this many points on the Broncos offense. I will take the 6.5 points to the Commanders at home. And then last play for Monday Night Football, Giants-Patriots. Give me the over 46.5. I think I do have to adjust for Jameis Winston. He slings it, He creates chaos. He slings the ball down the field. That's going to lead to points one way or the other, I think. It's going to lead to either points for the Giants or Giants able to get in a good field position. Or, turnovers and you hand the ball to the Patriots in good field position. And then, of course, the Patriots are what the Patriots are. I bet the over on them last week. It didn't come through. But still, I got to look at the season-long numbers. Their offense has been fantastic. Their defense has been trash. The Giants' defense has been trash. Specifically, their run defense has been trash. I think the Patriots are going to be able to run the ball against them. Total in the mid-40s. Surprising. This is 46.5, but Lions-Packers is 49.5. That seems strange to me because this is a game between two teams where the offenses are a lot better than their defenses. So, Giants-Patriots over 46.5 on Monday Night Football. All right, let's recap the plays here. I'll give you my survivor and best bets and all that stuff. We got Packers, Lions under 49.5. Chiefs -3 against the Cowboys. Bengals plus 7.5, -120. Eagles -7 at -105 against the Bears. Texans plus 4.5 against the Colts. Browns plus 6.5, -108 against the 49ers. Cardinals plus 2.5, -108 against the Buccaneers. Saints plus 6 against the Dolphins. Rams -10, -105 against the Panthers. Falcons -2.5 against the Jets. Titans plus 295 on the money line against the Jaguars. Vikings, Seahawks under 42. Chargers -9.5 against the Raiders. The Bills, Steelers over 47.5. Commanders plus 6.5, -102 against the Broncos. Giants, Patriots over 46.5. My best bets for this week. Last week I went 1-3 with 49ers -6.5 still pending. So either 2-3 or 1-4, of course. This week, my best bets are Eagles to cover against the Bears on Friday, Texans plus 4.5 against the Colts, Falcons -2.5 against the Jets, Rams -10 against the Panthers, and then Commanders -6.5 against the Broncos on Sunday night. So Eagles, Texans, Falcons, Rams, Commanders to all cover. Those are my 5 best bets. Let's do teaser next, and then we'll wrap up with Survivor Talk. Teaser. Last week we won. Teasers have been very good this season. And last week I did a 3-leg teaser plus 140, and that hit. We took the Patriots down from 7.5 to 1.5 against the Bengals. We actually needed that teaser leg. If that was just normal spread, Bengals covered. So this is actually kind of the perfect teaser. Packers, minus 0.5 against Vikings. Didn't have to tease that down, but it works anyways. And then Falcons teased up to plus 7.5. And for the most part, outside the Bengals giving us a little bit of a sweat, none of those legs were really that big of a sweat. Packers certainly wasn't. Falcons certainly wasn't. So pretty successful three leg 6-point teaser. This week I'm going back to a 2-leg. Not a lot of legs that I like because there's a lot of 6-point spreads and I like the underdogs on all of them. But I am going to tease the Eagles down from -7 to -1 against the Bears on Friday. Cardinals I'm going to tease up from +3 up to +9 against the Buccaneers. I don't think the Buccaneers can run away with them. I think they have too many other issues. So Eagles -1, Cardinals +9. That is my 2-leg teaser of the week. Let's wrap up with Survivor talk. Last week was a very easy week. Let's just talk the Road to 272 Survivor pool. 6 people were on the Seahawks. That was relatively sweat-free until the very end. If the Titans recover that onside, who knows what could have happened. But 6 people are on the Seahawks. 5 were on the Ravens, which is a little sketchy first half, but Ravens made it comfortable in the second half. 2 people on the Lions. I think it deserved to lose. Regardless, I mean, I've had some sweats go my direction this year for Survivor as well, so it's fine. But anyone who picked Survivor was sweating that game. They had a lot of things go right for them at the end. Giants didn't kick a field goal. They went for a game-sealing touchdown, didn't get it, drove all the way down, game-tying, long field goal, won in overtime, stopped them in 4th down in overtime. A lot of coin flips went their way at the end of that game for the Lions, but you survived. And at the end of the day, that's what this pool is all about. And then there's 4 people who are on the 49ers. So if the 49ers win, everyone will advance in the Road to 272 Survivor. I took the Seahawks in this one. So I've already advanced, so I'm on to next week. I took the 49ers and Joe Ostrowski's big money pool. I am saying, and I've kind of talked about this all season, that eventually there's going to come a time where I'm going to stop giving out my Survivor picks for my own pool, and now's the time. 6 weeks left. I'm not going to give my picks out anymore. Because then you could, in theory, as long as you still have the team available, to just take the same team that I take. So I'm not going to stop giving my picks out for that. I will go from now on from Joe Ostrowski's pool, assuming the 49ers hold on to this win, and at this point that's a big if. But if they do, I'll give you my take for Survivor next week. Now, for Joe Ostrowski's pool, not for the Road to 272 pool, but for Joe Ostrowski's pool, you have to do 2 teams this week. I'm going with the Eagles at home to the Bears as one of them. I know the Bears have been hot, but the Eagles at home, 7-point favorites. That'll be one of the teams I go with here. I don't think there's many great other spots to take the Eagles. Actually, there is. It's week 15. The Eagles are at home to the Raiders. So if you don't want to use the Eagles this week, if you want to save them for week 15, I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. And if you only had one entry, if you're in a 1-entry pool, that's what I would recommend, saving the Eagles if you still have them. But if you're in a 2-entry pool, the Eagles do make a lot of sense if you have no other great options. And then I'm going with what I think is the biggest favorite of the week, the most obvious, is Chargers at home to the Raiders. If you have the Chargers, I think you just go with them right now. Because the Chargers don't have any other good options this season. So it's kind of now or never with the Chargers. Their final games are at home to the Eagles, at Arrowhead, at Dallas. Maybe you could take them there. At home to the Texans, and then at Broncos. Maybe that week 18 game against the Broncos. Maybe the Broncos don't have to play anyone, depending on how the season shakes out. Whereas the Chargers, I'm assuming, will have to play in week 18. But still, the most obvious choice for the Chargers the rest of the season is this weekend. They are the biggest favorites of the week. They're at home to the Raiders. So let's take the Chargers at home to the Raiders. Those are my 2 picks for Joe Ostrowski's pool. So if you have either of those 2 games left, that's kind of my take. Other than that, the other one I've been considering moving off the Eagles or even moving off the Chargers, and because the Chargers are going to be the most popular pick this week, there's no doubt about it, because a lot of people are going to have the Chargers available, and they're the biggest favorite. So if you want to go a little bit unique and hope the Bears beat the Eagles, hope the Raiders beat the Chargers, try to get unique and see. Rams, obviously, I don't think many people have the Rams left, but the Rams are going to be an obvious one against Carolina. I don't have them left in any pool, so I didn't even think about them. If you want to try to get a little cute, Dolphins at home to the Saints. I know I took the Saints plus the points, but Dolphins should win that game at home coming off a bye. A lot of people are going to be taking the Jaguars. That's going to be another popular one. I get it. Fade the Titans, but Survivor, I stay away from road divisional games. I know I'm on the Titans to win outright, but even if I was on the Jaguars betting, road divisional games seem like a disaster for Survivor pools. They have been a few times this season already. So I have no interest in taking a road divisional team. So I'm going to hope I stay away from the Jaguars. I'm going to hope a lot of people take the Jaguars, and I hope that loses. It's kind of my plan of action. So for Joe Ostrowski's pool right now, I got Eagles at home to the Bears, Chargers at home to the Raiders. I might switch off one of them and go Dolphins. But that's going to be a ballsy move, and I don't know if I got the balls to do that. I think I'll just go with the two obvious picks. Especially at this point in the season, because at this point in the season, there's going to be multiple winners. It's not about being niche and try to be on the wrong side or the right side of a big loss. At this point, it's just survive. It's truly just survive till week 18 and take whatever split of the pot you get. That's all being said. If the 49ers end up losing the Panthers tonight, it doesn't matter because I'm eliminated, so these picks don't matter. And then I only have the Road to 272 pool left, which I'm not giving you my pick for. And to be honest, I don't even know my pick. I mean, I'll tell you right now. I have a very obvious pick locked in, but I might go a little niche, is what I'll say. All right, that's it. This has been the NFL Week 13 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe to the Bacon Bets YouTube channel. Best of luck with all your bets this week. Remember, fade all my picks. I'm in pure fade mode from here on out, so go ahead and fade all my picks. Best of luck. Gamble or bless. I'll see you all next week. The road to 272 bets marches on.